Okay, I'm going to start the presentation. I hope all of you can see the Meet Mack Monday opening slide from my presentation and hear me. If you can't, just give me a message. But this is just 10 slides or so, and I'm going to be recording this on video just so I can create an archive of it after the meeting. So let me make sure I'm admitting everybody. Okay, let me start this presentation. So this would be the topics that I hope to cover during this presentation. I hope everybody can see this. If you can't, give me a shout out. But I'm going to talk about the Deluca construction project in the conservation management zone on Twining Bridge Road. About the lower Dolington Road, I think it has finally, work has finally begun again. And we'll show you a little bit about that. I have a little drive-by video to show you that. There's a couple of validity challenges to our zoning, which I can cover briefly. The Provco Wawa has been around. That challenge has been around for quite a while, and I have talked about it at previous Meet Mack Monday meetings. So just a little update on that. Other topics. So the other one for validity challenge is a proposed up 245 apartment building complex proposed for Lower Silver Lake Road, just down from the proposed Wawa location. They are challenging our zoning as well. We'll get into that. I might mention a little bit about the upcoming application from Capital Grille restaurant, which may be coming to the Brixmore shopping center if the supervisors approve it. I want to talk a little bit about speed limit enforcement, especially on Newtown-Yardley Road, and many residents in the area are complaining about the speeding. Cars continue to be speeding, and we'll talk. I'll give you some details about that. The May 10th Board of Supervisors meeting, I'll just show you what was discussed at that meeting. And lastly, we got a resident had asked about municipal trash collection, which I think could be a lively discussion. So this is the Deluca project that has been proposed on 70 Twining Bridge Road. I know that there's a couple of people here, local residents in that area, who have come to the past Board of Supervisors meeting to oppose this, because the plan is to build 2 single-family homes on 3 or so acres in the Conservation Management District, which only allows 1 home on 3 acres, or if it's a cluster plan, you can have more homes per acre if they're clustered. In the previous Board of Supervisors meeting, the supervisors opposed this plan and had the solicitor send them, the developers, a send the zoning hearing board rather our opinion that the zoning hearing board should oppose this plan by not giving the developers the necessary variance. And I think the most reason was that most of the supervisors want to live by the code as it is and not have so many variances to the code so that it becomes something that doesn't operate basically the way it should. So the developer was supposed to go before the zoning hearing board on I think it was May 1st, but they decided to postpone that and come to our Board of Supervisors meeting on May 24th, this Wednesday, to the public meeting to plead its case before it goes back to the zoning hearing board, or goes to the zoning hearing board meeting on June 1st. So I know there might be a couple of neighbors here who also opposed that and made some comments at a recent Board of Supervisors meeting. So will be interesting to see what their argument is on Wednesday. Just off the top of my, I'll have more detailed notes that I can distribute after this, but it appears that their argument is, well, there are other they cited other projects where there are many homes in the conservation management district, but I think they was trying to cite the clustered homes as saying, well, these have many more homes per acre, and so this should be allowed. This is not what they are proposing. Is not really a cluster, and this may end up in court, but we'll have to see where this goes. Next is the Lower Dolington Road Trail. Work has begun, and I just want to show this little drive-by video. And 1 minute, so take a look.
On Frost Lane on right is a basin for catching rainwater runoff. The basin will be underground and connected to other basins by pipes.
They're driving up Lower Dolington Road here.
On Stanford Drive on right, we see workers digging a trench to install underground rainwater runoff pipes and basins. The system will be under the trail from Everett Drive down to Frost Lane. Coming up on Everett Drive, we see more concrete basins in the pipes that will be used to connect them.
I hope you enjoyed that little drive-by. I've been going to that site every day. I don't know if you know, but I've had open heart surgery and have to do some walking exercise every day. So every day I walked over to Lower Dolington Road in March and April, and until I saw them actually beginning work. There's a long story here that I have documented on my blog, a timeline in case you're interested, and I'll provide links later. The other validity challenge was obviously Wawa, and again, this was filed way back in 2016. Essentially, a validity challenge is something that says, well, you need to have this use, otherwise it's unconstitutional. You're denying us the ability to develop, because you don't have a use, and that's was first started by Provco, which builds these Wawas and leases it out to Wawa, the buildings. So the Board of Supervisors, when the plan came before us, rejected the plan for various reasons. I don't believe it is appropriate. I oppose the, this redesign. We came up with a whole new use in the OR district called E30 use that was specifically patterned, specifically developed for Wawa, basically, combination convenience store, gas station use. And I voted against that. So I continue to try to keep my position as I like to keep as much development away from the bypass as possible. So this is a continuing discussion at the zoning hearing board. There's been several hearings and no decision has yet been made, and it is to be continued at the May 30th zoning hearing board meeting, where the zoning hearing board may or may not make a decision at that time. Probably not. I think they're going to hear from witnesses from the township, which sent its solicitor to oppose the plan. Meanwhile, the Board of Supervisors have been meeting in executive session to discuss a possible settlement. As you may know, executive sessions are not open to the public, and there'll be another meeting this Wednesday, another executive session. Oops, sorry. Another executive session to discuss a draft settlement agreement. Unfortunately, I've been instructed to not reveal any details of that at this time, because it could involve litigation, and obviously it does. This is a settlement to a court case that the Provco Wawa has submitted. The next validity challenge is that 245 unit apartment building, again in the OR district. The Kushner Real Estate Group came before the Planning Commission some time ago to present this plan or a similar plan. And it's on Lower Silver Lake Road, just down the road. I guess it's south, west of the site of the proposed Wawa. So in this graphic, I just mentioned that there was, going to be additional traffic, that this will entail, and on Lower Silver Lake Road going up to the bypass. Many people have already been complaining about the traffic on the bypass in that location. So according to the validity challenge, it's again, the developers claim that our zoning is exclusionary with respect to the legitimate and protected apartment use. And the developer seeks adoption of a proposed curative amendment, which would add a B11 use, or re-add that use to the zoning for a multi-story apartment building use. It's very interesting that the proposed, they rewrote the whole ordinance, basically, a couple of pages, And it includes every aspect of the current plan, that they want, including a dog spa or grooming facility, and resident amenities and recreational facilities. So all this is laid out in their B11 use that they would like us, the jointure, the JMZO is the Joint Municipal Zoning Ordinance. They would like that amended to include their B11 use, which specifically covers everything that they would love to do with this apartment building of 245 apartments. That has to be, go through the Joint Zoning Commission, which is a lengthy process. And I'm not sure when this is going to come up, but I think it's been discussed at least a little to a slight degree at the Joint Zoning Council. And now that they have an actual draft from these developers, it might get a little bit more interesting. Capitol Grille would like to come to Newtown at the site of the old Pier 1 imports, so which has been vacant for quite a while. This is in the Brixmore, the lower 40 acres, or not 40 acres, whatever it is, of the Brixmore Shopping Center. And they first will come to the Board of Supervisors, probably not this Wednesday, but in June, to ask the Board of Supervisors to approve a liquor license transfer from business in Warrington. Now, the law is we cannot generate our own new liquor licenses. They have to be imported from other townships because of the quotas involved. Meanwhile, the quota for Newtown and liquor licenses should be around 7. And I'm pretty sure we're double that amount at least at the current number of liquor licenses that we have in Newtown. And personally, well, in the past, when the Blue Point Grille wanted to also transfer a liquor license, the Board of Supervisors voted to deny that, primarily because I think, at least I thought that, we have enough liquor licenses in Newtown. We don't want to become the next, I forget the town's name in Cooperstown. What's the town's name in It's a Wonderful Life, So I think we have enough places selling liquor, and it's one way in which we could control the number of restaurants in the Brixmore shopping center. Meanwhile, this restaurant is proposing to have 236 tables, including 26 in the patio. So if they get their liquor license, this is what they would like to do. It's an 8,500 square feet. I don't know if that includes the patio, which is an interesting discussion because Brixmore, way back before I was a supervisor, and I think one of the previous supervisors that is on this call would know more about this than I do. The deal with Brixmore was they are allowed to have up to 45% of their square footage devoted to restaurant use. Now that square footage, I don't know if it includes the patio areas, because when this was originally passed, no, I don't think any restaurant had an outdoor patio. Only after, during, and after the COVID happened did restaurants start with the patios, and now they're becoming quite popular and more restaurants want that. But even after, if this Capitol Grille comes in, there's still room for 2 more restaurants in the Brixmore development and shopping center for 2 more restaurants of the same size. It's according to my calculations anyway, before the 45% limit is reached. Now, of course, this many residents have complained about the traffic and the parking. And one resident I spoke to was saying that many of the current businesses in the shopping center have told their employees to park at near the Pier 1 because that part of the parking lot was empty. This was so that there would be more parking spaces for clients and at the businesses instead of having the employees taking up those parking spaces. So that's going to add to the parking woes of the shopping center if it's approved. Speed limits. I think everybody knows about I hope everybody knows that the new speed limits of 25 miles per hour in effect for a portion of the Newtown-Yardley Road, basically from Lower Dolington Road to the borough border, Washington Avenue, and all of Sycamore Street, North and South Sycamore Street, 25 miles per hour. Now, residents have complained that it's still a dangerous. Residents of Newtown Walk, basically on Newtown-Yardley Road and Tara Boulevard, right across from the cemetery, there's a crosswalk that the residents in that area feel is very dangerous because the cars are not obeying the speed limit and they're still zooming by. And, I asked the chief of police to see if they can do more enforcement. And I got citation data for January, February, and March. And it shows that the new speed limit is being enforced. Several speeding tickets were issued in at least beginning in March, and continues because I've seen somebody pulled over to the side on Newtown-Yardley Road by the Newtown Police Department. There's also the use of these ghost police cars, and that continues to be used, although some people think it's not effective. But actually, sometimes there's a real policeman in the car, so you never know. This is just a review of what was happening at a recent Board of Supervisors meeting. We discussed the Applebee's patio application, which is, again, they want to expand or create a new patio at the side of the restaurant. We discussed billboards, which is something that I'm not quite sure why we are talking about that. Except that this was brought up at the Joint Zoning Council, and maybe this is another case where somebody's going to come in and say, we want a billboard on the bypass, and you don't allow for that use, and we're going to bring you to court. There was an advertisement for a piece of land on the bypass, and it said it was ideal for billboards. So even though billboards signs are not permitted on the bypass as currently. The Lower Dolington Road Trail, we discussed, every meeting, I try to find out when the construction will start. So that's a moot point right now. I guess it's started as we've seen. We discussed the Lower Dolington Road. There's a sidewalk, that piece of the sidewalk above a development up the road by New Haven Development that would hopefully allow the New Haven residents to have a direct sidewalk connection to the trail all the way down, and then take the trail all the way down to Roberts Ridge Park. There's fire services agreement. We have a joint agreement with the borough, and there's a committee of people, and we just amended that so that the committee includes more members from the Newtown Fire Association, and we discussed the police report. I will oh, here's the last one. I left this for last because one of the participants here asked this question: should Newtown contract with one trash company for savings, efficiency, less noise and pollution? I was wondering how much that might cost. And, the only research I was able to do was to find out that Newtown Township recently entered into a contract with a waste hauling company for $28 million over a 3-year period. And I did a little math, regarding how much that comes out to per household in Northampton. Northampton has about 14,000, 15,000 households. And if you do the math, I come up with a number of $649 per household per year to cover that contract. Now, I'm not sure if it's just the households. I guess businesses might pay a much larger share if it also involves the businesses. So I'm not quite sure how a municipal trash collection would work. Would that also mean the businesses, which could then lower substantially the price to residents? I can't imagine a township charging residents $649 per year for one pickup per week, whereas I pay about $350 per year with 2 pickups. And so I don't recall seeing this issue come up before the Board of Supervisors. And in the discussion part which follows, I hope we can might have some opinions on that. So that's my presentation, and I will stop the sharing.